Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Yue Eats. I'm Yue, and this is another international series of our food vlogs. We're not in China this time, or Montreal. We're in the UK, and we're in Edinburgh, Scotland right now, before we head to London. And where we are now is a very colorful part of Edinburgh, but a place that looks pretty touristy. Not that there's anything inherently wrong with that, but just wanted to share my observation. Pretty colorful and touristy part of town, and while we're in Scotland, I definitely wanted to hit up a fish and chip spot, and we were originally going to hit up this spot here because even though we're going to be spending the bulk of this trip in London, I hear that London is actually not the best place for fish and chips. I mean, it's obviously going to be better than back home. I mean, anywhere in the UK is going to be better than New York, New Jersey for fish and chips. But I hear that actually Northern England and Scotland is where it's at for fish and chips. That's what people say. Some people think it might be the air or something like that, but they say that either Northern England or Scotland is where you got to go to get solid fish and chips. In my research, this is what came up. Bertie's fish and chips, Bertie's proper fish and chips, as the highest reviewed fish and chips around here. But like I said, this looks like a pretty touristy area. I mean, look, a big tour group just all walked in masse, and yeah, I mean, in this neighborhood, I kind of have my doubts as to how authentic of an experience this is going to be, especially since I kind of did some research online, and it looks like this is more of a sit-down restaurant. Again, not that there's anything wrong with that, but fish and chips is typically more takeaway. And also, just the vibe of the place is very Times Square-y like, right? Like, it kind of gives off like a very touristy vibe. Don't fret though, I did my research. It can be difficult to eat fish and chips during the daytime because a lot of the great takeaway fish and chip spots are only open at night. But luckily, there's one local spot called SALVATORE'S, not sure how to pronounce it, but it looks like a pretty good local spot, a more traditional fried haddock and chips kind of spot. So let's check that place out because while I'm sure this place is great, I want to bring you guys a real authentic Scottish fish and chips experience. So let's go check it out. I just want to point out real quick that this is the cafe where J.K. Rowling came up with Harry Potter, the Elephant House, and yeah, this is supposed to be the inspiration for Diagon Alley, like the real Diagon Alley. I think we're definitely approaching a more local spot because behind us is the University of Edinburgh. Pretty famous college here in the UK, and yeah, we're approaching kind of more of their main street, so this should hopefully be a more local, colloquial place and hopefully less touristy. Okay, we are here, and this place is called, I believe, SALVATORE'S or SALVATORE'S. And yeah, traditional fish and chips as well as pizza apparently. And this looks totally up my alley. Half fish and chips for £7.50. Not exactly like the price at the other place, which was like 16 pounds, I believe, or 16 quid. Super down to earth looking spot, super local looking spot, flickering light that they haven't fixed, and everything totally up my alley. And in a definitely decidedly more residential and local spot, I believe. You know, no big neon signs here. I'm sure the other place is good, but the neon sign, the really Times Square-esque feel that that restaurant gave me, I don't know. At least for me personally, I'd rather go to a well-reviewed local spot than a place that's more so popular with tourists. And what really put me off was a lot of the reviews there were all from what looked to be tourists. They were all translated from different languages on Google reviews. So let's check this place out. We'll do 2 orders of the half fish and chips, the £7.50 one. £7.50, yes. Okay, yes, sounds good, thank you.
Fish. Yeah, this fish. What do you chips? No, you don't do not fish and salt.
I guess we'll just eat over here. Yeah. I might, would you mind if while I ate, I record like myself eating for social media?
Wherever you like, I don't mind, sir.
Sounds good, thank you. Okay, that's one. Excellent. Thank you so much, sir. All right, guys, we just got our fish and chips from Salvatore's takeaway fish and chip shop. There was space to eat inside, but I don't know, the place was pretty quiet and I didn't really want to bother other people eating. Like, you could pretty much hear a pin drop in there. And on top of that, there was like a flickering light, and I feel like that's not the best for content, but it's a nice day out. The sun has finally come out, so figured why not eat this outside the way these takeaway fish and chips are meant to be eaten after all. So, let's see what we got. Wow, pretty big portion of fried haddock, a ton of chips. I also requested an extra curry sauce on the side for £1.50. I said £1.50 earlier. I was quickly corrected by him, clearly giving myself away as an out-of-towner. Tina got a way bigger piece than I did, not fair. Oh man, he must have liked Tina more than me. And we're also in just such a beautiful neighborhood. Just look at this beautiful Scottish neighborhood. Looks like a really local place. Oh man, the buildings here are just so beautiful. Like, that's one thing that I feel is kind of unfortunate. Back in the US, I didn't realize how ugly our buildings are. I mean, I guess once you come to Europe, everything is just so historical that, you know, walking down the street, you find some pretty nice looking flats. Well, even though fish and chips in the UK is kind of designed for takeaway, like, its breading tends to be more akin to tempura so that it doesn't get as soggy like fried chicken does when it's put in a to-go box. It really is designed for takeout, but we still better eat pretty quickly so that it's fresh. But just look at how beautifully fried this piece of cod is. Just looks absolutely beautiful and smells great. Love the color. Looks crispy, yet sturdy at the same time, and real thick hand-cut British chips. A lot of people think that chips and French fries are the same thing. They're not interchangeable. British chips are thicker. They're not thin like the typical American shoestring fry is. Nothing to it but to do it. And look how easily it cuts. Just cuts seamlessly in half, and oh man, just look at how evenly it flakes. Just look at that. I overdid it there by trying to poke it one more time, but oh my goodness. I can just tell it's gonna be great by the way it looks. Time to dig in. All right, should I be surprised? That was hands down the best fish and chips I've ever had in my whole life. I mean, I know I'm from the US, I'm a American, what do I know? But at least based on anything I've had in the US and during my last trip to the UK, although I think those might have been like tourist trap places, I'm at least really liking this, and this is just some random casual place that I just looked up on my phone. I mean, the batter, like hopefully you can hear it with the wooden spoon, but the batter is just so, I mean, just listen to how crispy it is. But like I said, it's crispy, but when you bite into it, like you didn't hear my mic make that really exaggerated crisp sound. Like, it's crispy, but it has to survive being in like a takeaway container. So it's also, I don't know how to explain, like hard? Not hard, like sturdy might be a better way of putting it, but the fish on the inside just cooked perfectly. Like when the fish perfectly flakes apart like that, meaning that it's done, the fish is super fresh on the inside. And here in Scotland, they use haddock. They don't use cod. I usually like cod because I feel like cod is more neutral. Haddock is less neutral of a fish, but in a way, I don't taste the haddock as much. I mostly taste the breading, but I think that's the whole thing that they got going on here. Just really playing up the amazing batter they got here. Oops, accidentally picked up a chip. Let's try it with the chip, which I feel like is the way you're supposed to eat this. Fish and chips, after all. The chips kind of like absorb all that salt and vinegar like a sponge, like a delicious starchy edible sponge for vinegar and salt. And it acts as like a vehicle to like really infuse every bite of fish with that salty vinegar flavor. That salt vinegar flavor, which maybe some of you did not know this, but salt and vinegar potato chips, if you're a fan, those are actually supposed to be fish and chips flavored chips. Now you know Lay's is trying to recreate fish and chips in a bag. Let's eat some of these chips just on their own and not diluted with the fried fish. Just eating two of the chips on their own. Really, really good British style chips. None of that pre-frozen stuff that's common back in the States. Before I got my food, I chatted with Salvatore, the owner, and he told me that ever since he moved to the UK, when he was 23 years old, he's been running this joint just by himself. One-man show for 40 years. Wow, Can you imagine doing anything for 40 years? I mean, if this channel were to survive 40 years, I would be a very, very happy man. That would be hooray, career success. For 40 years, he's just been making fish and chips, so not master of none, master of one. And just like the old adage goes, you should not fear a young man in battle, but an old man you should fear in battle. You make it 40 years doing this in the business, you know a trick or two. Let me bite one open. It's hard to get it to focus because of the lighting, but you'll just have to take my word for it. Just look at the fluffy starch on the inside of that potato. Boiled first, then fried. There's no other way. You know, Tina usually hates fish and chips, but looks like she's almost done hers. Tina, what do you think? You like it?
Oh, it's good.
It's good?
It's really crispy and fresh.
Is this place better, or is the place I took you to in New York better?
Oh, this place.
You hear that? No hesitation, no. Let me think about it. She's like, what kind of question is that? That's like, is the sky blue? Or is Jordan better than LeBron? Shots fired. Oh man, and such a big portion too. Another thing that this place has on any fish and chips place across the pond, we got this for £7.50. While back in USA, that's my Borat impression, this would probably be at least 15 bucks. So we're gonna eat one more piece of this and super fresh haddock, really bringing out the freshness of the haddock. The fried batter is not too oily, perfect consistency, and you can just tell by eating it that the oil is pretty clean. Like it's not some nasty, dirty oil that you get from some fried food where it'll make this fish turn like some weird brown color because the oil is dirty. Delicious. Too bad he didn't have mushy peas on the menu, but we'll wrap up the review once we try some of his curry sauce. Gotta get a curry sauce when you're in the UK.
I feel like the vinegar here really works because I usually hate it. I usually hate having vinegar on my fries
Yeah, but
and fish.
But here it like balances, right?
Yeah, it works for some reason. It's really good.
And Tina, you usually don't like vinegar on anything, right?
No.
Like when you eat dumplings, you don't add vinegar either.
Yeah.
Wow. Either they have good vinegar, or they know what will pair with the vinegar, or both. D, all of the above. You know, if you didn't study for the exam, always pick D. All right, before we wrap up this review and catch our train to London, let's try some of this curry sauce and see if it curries our favor. All right, some curry sauce on the fish. Ooh, what do you think? Oh, that's pretty good. I mean, it doesn't really taste like Indian curry. It does have like a very British curry flavor. Like it kind of has like a powdery curry flavor, like a curry gravy flavor. The best way I can explain it is if you've ever had Japanese curry is actually heavily influenced by British curry. So it kind of tastes like those Japanese curry packets, but oh man, like I said, it's like a curry gravy, and I don't know, like it goes perfectly with the fish and chips. It's like a perfect spice counterbalance to like the more oily salt and vinegar flavor. Just like another curry, Steph curry, this don't miss. Oh man, look at it. It's like a gravy. It's like slightly thicker than the gravy consistency, not too watery. Some curry sauces at even authentic fish and chip places in the US and A, if you're lucky to find an authentic chippy in the US, will sometimes even be rather thick, almost like a curry ketchup. But no, this is just, I don't know. Oh, actually, okay, actually eating like a spoonful was not the right call. That was a little too much. But if you eat it just with the fish or the fries, like as a dipping sauce, like let me try dipping it with the chips. It's like you got chips and dip, but like UK, oops. It's like you got chips and dip, but not American version. This would be UK chips and dip. So Indian version, not Mexican version. Like the way I would put it is if you like curry powder, you know, like that curry powder flavor. And what is curry powder really? Just like a random eclectic mix of, you know, garam masala and cumin and things like that. But if you like that like kind of like generic curry powder taste, like with a very umami, almost MSG-like flavor. Delicious in its non-authenticness. You're gonna like that. I don't know how else to explain it, and that might not make any sense, but trust me on that. And let me just tell you, look at how popular this place is. You got a bunch of students over there taking a break to get some fish and chips here at Salvatore's, so that's how you know that we picked a good spot. I think we're the only tourists in eyesight of this whole block, so looks like we made the right call audibling that selection at the last minute. But guys, that's gonna be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. We've only been in the UK for about a day now. We came to Scotland first, to Edinburgh, to visit a friend of ours. And tomorrow we're going to London to film a few vids, and look out for those. We're reviewing some pretty nice spots, some pretty fancy spots if I do say so myself. Let me know what you guys think. If you're based in the UK, what's your favorite chippy in the UK? And have you eaten at this Salvatore's place? After all, he's been in business for 40 years. One-man show. Let me know in the comments because great minds eat alike. If you like my videos, as always, like and subscribe. That way you stay up to date whenever I post another video. And until next time, I'll see you later.